Now, in this 8th class of nuclear physics, we have to study about Q value. These nuclear reactions are similar to ordinary chemical reaction in which the energy changes takes place. So during this nuclear reaction, the energy may be absorbed or released. That energy is called as nuclear reaction energy, or simply it is called as Q value or energy balance in the equation. Then this Q value may be positive or negative depending upon the nature of reaction. According to Einstein mass energy equivalence principle, this Q value balances in the equation for the mass. Let your equation x plus a is equal to y plus b. So here a is the projectile particle, x is the targeted nucleus. This projectile particle changes this x to y with emitting another particle b. So let this rest mass of x is m0. Then m1 E1 represents the mass of this A and kinetic energy of A. Then in the same manner, here m2 E2 represents mass of this Y and kinetic energy of Y. And lastly, this m3 E3 represents mass of this B and kinetic energy. So conservation of mass and energy takes place in this reaction. So here this is mass is m0 plus m1 plus E1. It is a reactant that should be equal to the product. This is m2 plus E2 plus m3 plus E3. Then this is m0 plus m1 plus minus m2 plus m3, that is equal to E2 plus E3 minus E1. This is your Q value. Means the Q value may be expressed in the form of mass or in the form of energy. That means here m0 plus m1 minus m2 plus m3, that is equal to Q. Or in terms of energy, it is E2 plus E3 minus E1 is equal to Q. That means Q value or energy equivalence may be expressed in the form of mass, or it may be expressed in the form of energy. So, if Q is greater than 0, this is your mass of reactant and this is mass of the products. If Q is greater than 0, the reaction is called as exothermic, or it is simply called as exorgic. What happens if Q is greater than 0? The reaction is called as exothermic. If Q is greater than 0, here M0 plus M1 is greater than M2 plus M3. Means sum of the masses of the product is greater than the sum of the mass of the reactant is greater than sum of the mass of the product. This difference in the mass is converted into energy. In this case, energy is released. In the exothermic reaction, energy is released. If Q is less than 0, the reaction is called as endothermic reaction. If Q is less than 0, you know that this is M2 plus M3 is more than M0 plus M1. This is reactant. So this is product and this is reactant. Sum of the masses of the product is less than now second, if Q is less than 0, the reaction is called as endothermic reaction. If it is an endothermic reaction, here M2 plus M3 is greater than M0 plus M1. Means the masses of the product is more than the mass of the reactant. That means there is a gain in mass. This happens only when the absorption of energy takes place. So this condition occurs only when the absorption of energy takes place. In the exothermic reaction, energy was released. Now here the energy is absorbed. Therefore, we have to supply an extra energy to this projectile particle for the nuclear reactions to take place. That projectile particle should have minimum energy to cause a nuclear reaction. The minimum energy required for a projectile particle to start the nuclear reaction is called as threshold energy. See, next we have to study detectors. In nuclear investigations, it is very essential to detect the radiation emitted by nuclei or a particles. We know that we cannot observe the radiations or particles such as alpha, beta, gamma cannot be observed directly. Therefore, we have to detect by means of some instruments. The instruments which detects the radiations emitted by nuclei is called as nuclear detector. So they are detected by means of some secondary effects produced by them. What is that secondary effect? Secondary effect is ionization, photographic effect, and also fluorescence. One of the detector is Geiger-Muller detector you are supposed to study, or it is simply called as GM detector. So GM detector consists of a cylinder exactly at the center, tungsten wire of 0.1 millimeter diameter is passed. This tungsten wire serves as an anode, and it is surrounded by a cylinder made up of glass. This glass is coated with a very thin film of conducting material. So this serves as an cathode. Wire is anode, and this surface of the glass, which is coated with a very thin film of conducting material, serves as a cathode. And between anode and cathode, a potential difference of about 1200 volt is maintained. Then the high resistance R is connected in series with the battery. This tube is filled with 90% of argon and 10% of ethyl alcohol. So this gas is filled with 90% of argon and 10% of ethyl alcohol. Then it is connected to the detector or scalar or radiometer. So consider this is your cylinder. This is a cylinder. Then if an invisible particle such as alpha, beta, gamma or any nuclear radiation is allowed to pass, with high energetic particle is allowed to pass, ionization is produced here. Ion pair is produced. That means negative ion and positive ion. So this produced electron is called as primary electron. It is primary electron. Since there is an voltage of 1200 between this anode and cathode, very quickly this negatively charged ion moves towards the anode. And this positively charged ion takes much longer time to reach, about 10 raised to minus 3 to 10 raised to minus 4 seconds it takes reach the cathode. When this ion moves very quickly in its path, it comes across some argon atoms. So during its motion here, it also produces the ionization. That means negative and positive ions are produced. so which produced earlier by the incident radiation is called as primary electron, and this is called as a secondary electron. So initially the particle is moving, enters the argon region. It consists of 90% of argon. So ionization takes place, producing an electron and positive ion. So this negative ion electron is called as negative ion. It is also called as primary electron. It is attracted suddenly towards this anode because of this 1200 potential volts. Then in its path it finds another atom. Suddenly ionization takes place at this path also. Then it produces again positive and negative charges. That electron is called as secondary electron. Then I told that positive ions takes much longer time to reach this cathode slowly, and a cascade sheet is developed here, positively charged. This sheet, positively charged ion sheet, slowly decreases the field around this wire. So the time is reached such that this field is not sufficient to give energy for further ionization. Then tube becomes dead. This is called as dead time of GM tube, represented by TD. So either at this stage the field is reduced or totally zero. So sorry, the field, this tube becomes an inactive at the time dead time period TD. Then how to restart this GM tube? Then all these positive charges are attracted by cathode, it is one thing, or we have to remove all these positive charges or neutralizes all these positive charges by some secondary effect. The removal of all positive charges, positive ions from the tube is called as quenching process. The removal of all positive ions. Then the tube recovery time is the time in which the original pulse level is achieved by removing all these positive ions which are developed at this place. And what is the total resolution time of this GM tube? This resolution time of this tube is dead time period plus recovery time, REC. It is total resolution time of this GM counter. So this is about 100 microseconds, and this is also about 100 microseconds. That means a fresh event in the GM tube starts after 200 microseconds, and the next particle is allowed to enter. So this is regarding the construction and working of this GM detector. Now voltage characteristics of GM tube is shown in the figure. The tube remains inoperative until a voltage is sufficient to cause the development of an electron avalanche. So at certain stage the counting rate starts. The voltage at which the counting rate starts, that voltage is known as threshold voltage of this GM tube. Then as the voltage goes on increasing across the GM tube, counting rate also goes on increasing up to the certain stage. Then the counting rate remains constant up to the certain voltage. Then up to which the counting rate remains constant or curve becomes flatter, So that region is called as Plato region of this GM tube. If you go on increasing this voltage beyond the Plato region, then enormously the voltage goes on increasing, electric field across this goes on increasing, then continuous discharge take place and counting rate also goes on increasing. So the GM tube should not be operated beyond this Plato region. So usually the middle point of this Plato region is taken as the operating voltage. So it is in terms of some 100 volts. See, if you take at the center of the Plato region the operating voltage of this GM counter, if there is some fluctuation in the voltage, the count rate does not change much. So this is the voltage characteristics of GM tube. Now next experiment we have to study scintillation counter. So this is one of the earliest method to detect the alpha particle. So by counting the number of scintillations means flash of light on off produced by these alpha particles when they strikes the certain material like that of zinc sulfide. If alpha particle strikes the material like zinc sulfide, with some arrangement, the flash of light, in other words, the scintillations are produced. If you count the number of flash of light or number of scintillations, it is nothing but the number of charged particles. So when this charged particle enters the scintillating material, the atom goes to the excited state. While returning to the ground state, it emits the photon. In other words, it is a light luminescence. So here scintillation counter consists of one instrument known as a photomultiplier tube. This photomultiplier tube, in associated with the scintillator or scintillating material connected to the some electronic circuits, forms the scintillation counter. Then when this charged particle enters the scintillation counter, it dissipates all its energy to the scintillator and atom goes to the excited state. While returning to the ground state, then number of photons are emitted. So this is the phenomenon which takes place in this scintillation counter. So it dissipates its entire energy. That energy can be used in two ways. It appears as heat energy. In one case, it is absorbed in many of 60% of cases, and the rest appears as light energy in the form of luminescence. Then, if assume that this is a photomultiplier tube, photomultiplier tube consists of number of electrodes called as diodes. In case of light luminescence, then this scintillating material, after absorption of this charged particle or energy of the charged particle, goes to the excited level and there it remains in the excited level for 10 raised to minus 8 seconds, and the material is de-excited by the emission of light photons. the light photon is emitted. Then the number of light photons in time t seconds, the number of light photons in time t seconds after the ionization radiation has arrived is given by Np is equal to some constant 1 minus e raised to minus t upon 2. That means number of light photons in time t seconds after the ionization radiation has arrived, this ionization radiation has arrived, is given by Np is equal to some constant into 1 minus e raised to minus t upon 2. So where tau is the average life, it is the characteristics of the scintillating material. Tau is the average life or the mean life, is the characteristics of the scintillating material. So when the light photons enters the photomultiplied tube, here photo emission takes place, means electron is ejected. And you know that this photomultiplied tube consists of number of electrodes. They are called as diodes. They are of the increasing order of the potentials, 100 volts, 200 volts, 300 volts, 400. That means successively the potential goes on increasing. In other words, the energy supplied to the electron goes on increasing. These diodes are specially prepared surfaces. They are coated with material of CS, SB, AG, Mg to have the secondary emission. What do you mean by the secondary emission? When from the scintillator the photon is incident on the cathode, photo emission takes place. This one photon emits one electron, ejects one electron, and it is directed towards this D1 which has got 100 volts potential. Then it hits the surface, it is photosensitive. Secondary emission occurs. This is primary electron and these are the secondary electrons. One it is reflected, another is ejected from this surface. There are two electrons. So again at surface D2, which is of 200 volts, secondary emission takes place, 4 electrons are ejected. Like this, the number of electrons all along the path goes on multiplying. It is a photomultiplier tube. And this last but one diode collects all the electrons here. Then once it hits the last diode, which is known as anode, it increases the current pulse, that increases the voltage pulse, and the voltage pulse is recorded by an electronic circuit which is appeared across the load resistance RL. So for one maximum voltage pulse, one charged particle has entered, then flash of light is observed. After this, if the second enters, the similar phenomena takes place. Again another pulse appears across this load RL, recorded by this electronic circuit.